My name is Sophie Daas. I'm an innovation manager at KU Leuven, and together with my colleagues Frederik Truijen and Roberta Pireddu, and supported by Manasseh Maswama of Congolese Green and co-host Europeana, I presented on the 22nd of March 2024 a webinar for the Flemish, the Belgian cultural heritage sector on the topic of stereotypes and bias in cultural collections from the colonial era. In about 2 hours, we shared some project information. We specifically zoomed in on takeaways for the sector by the end of the project, and we were able to involve our community ally, Congolese Green, in a short interview. 3 takeaways I would like to share with you in this video recap. First one is that starting the webinar with a quiz, which was powered by the discussion tool Quander, was extremely beneficial for us to get to know our participants and for the participants to get a full scope, a panorama of what it is to be dealing with and to be encountering bias in cultural collections metadata. You can see here some results of the voting that took place after our discussions, for instance, about the question whether our participants have encountered indeed instances of bias in their collections. And you can see that the majority indeed did. We also discussed the use of standards and protocols versus a tailor-made approach. And you can see that most participants ended up somewhere in the middle. As for how to strategize when indeed bias occurs, the majority voted for indeed acting rather than just leaving the item aside or deleting it from a collection, and most of them would add context to the metadata already available. A second takeaway I wanted to share is that indeed focusing on project results that could have a wider sectoral uptake proved to be a good common ground for engaging with our webinar participants. In this case, we specifically highlighted the community engagement methodology, as many expressed intentions and interest in working with community representatives in the future. We also highlighted the work on the vocabulary, as we believe that establishing a thesaurus helping to understand and to indeed re-narrate instances of bias in collections is something that other institutions beyond the DeBias Consortium could replicate, and this would highly benefit their curation and the users or the visitors' experience of said collections. We also pointed to the tool that will become available that flags and contextualizes instances of bias, and the wheel of bias as a good tool for both institutions themselves, specifically for curators and catalographers, but also for community work, because as you can see here in these pictures taken during one of our workshops with community representatives, the wheel helps to assess instances of bias and to lend a factor of intensity and of gravity to the instances that occur, which in turn could go on to inform prioritization and a cultural heritage institutional strategy. Finally, we ended our webinar with a short interview with our community ally, Congolese Green. I'm grateful and honored that they took the time to join us and to present their main activities, but also their reflections on the process of being involved in the work on the DeBias project. And we were able to establish, or we were able to discuss, how the community too has felt that the project benefited their operations in the areas of socio-economic and cultural growth. That's it for this video recap. Thanks for watching and keep on following the project DeBias.